Hi, welcome back. I'm going to do another 5-minute guide. This one's going to be on the 3D Swirl ad experience. So for those who are aware or familiar with Google Web Designer, it already has a capability for you to add in 3D objects and sort of play around with them within the space. However, Google have had in beta for a while the 3D swirl effect. So as you scroll, the 3D objects would actually spin and rotate, so you could create some immersive experiences. So the Google's marketing platform blog have basically done a little update, and there's a little article here, and basically just quickly talks about it, and then just some examples of where people have really utilized it. I'm going to have a go myself today. However, I don't have some amazing 3D assets, some animations, but you'll get the idea, and we'll go through it together. So yeah, we've got that, and then there's this great one from a car experience. You know, you can really see it's engaging the user, which is obviously the thing that Google are after at the moment. They're trying to, move that tired, old approach of display ads and making it a bit more immersive and interesting. So yeah, we've got some interesting ones here, and obviously some shoes. Shoes are a big thing right now, especially from an augmented reality perspective. But again, I think that's a different conversation. We can discuss that some other time. Anywho, and then we got some alcohol. You can't obviously not have an advertisement without some alcohol. Now, one thing to keep note of is that these 3D objects will be coming from somewhere called Poly, which is Google's own platform. So I've already uploaded a rather interesting object I made a few years back. Some of you, I'm sure, will be familiar with it if you're a sci-fi fan. So I'm going to be using this object, and I'm going to create some experiences, and we're going to see how it goes. So I'm going to move over to Google Web Designer now. So here we go. I've already slightly started ahead of myself, so what I'll do now is I will just delete that. So first things first, what I should have done was copied the URL for the object. We need the ID, which is on the end of this, basically. So on the right-hand side in the Components Library section, under Graphics and Effects, first of all, we're going to play around with the 3D modeler, or model tool, sorry. Let's just get this locked in place. Okay, great. And then under Properties, I can name my object, so let's just call it Cylon, and I'll now copy and paste in the URL. Return, there we go, object loaded in, and that's it. I've already set the background of the canvas to black. I'm going to quickly save that, and I'll now run a quick preview. And there you go. So that is the ability to add in a 3D object and have the user get immersed in it. You can put some sort of prompts there that say, hey, scroll this way, scroll that way, zoom, click, pinch, whatever. And this would be good for mobile. So it's a great way of showing off your shoes, your phones, whatever really. But obviously the bigger part of all of these sort of things would be augmented reality, adding that element in, which I'm sure will come. But at this moment in time, we're just going to focus on the fact that you have the ability to look at a 3D object and get very close to it, look at it in the details. So anyway, we'll go back into Google Web Designer. So obviously we've done that, but I'm going to delete that one now, and I'm going to come back to the components library, and I'm now going to try in the swirl. And please note the display and video 360, so it's specific to, so you must make sure when you set up your projects that you have set them up for display video 360 only. They won't work in anything else because it's designed to work with the scroll, and that's the key feature here. So to use it, we double tap, and then what we do, very similar to parallax, you have a sort of end and a start position, so where you want it to begin and end. So with this, obviously, I'm just going to select the object, that turns it on and off, and then I'm going to come down here, and I'm going to paste in my object there, hit the refresh, there we go. Oh, move the page down a bit there. And then obviously you've got some controls positioning. I'm not going to worry about most of this stuff right now. I'm not interested in this stuff. I'm only really interested in just getting the 3D object in, trying it out, and obviously getting the scroll effect to work. So I'm just going to save that now. And then I'm going to do a preview. And now we've obviously been given a an environment to test in, and I'm now just going to scroll down, and there you go. Now note that obviously it's quite a short scroll, right? It's quite a short animation sequence, and that's because my start and end positions are very close together. Now if we go back to Google Web Designer and we open that up again, and maybe we extend the start and end positions, then in theory, or we can actually do a preview here, in theory, should get a longer animation there. You see, there's a longer animation, so I'm never going to actually see the end of the animation. But I think that sucks. So I think what I'm going to do, I'm just going to bring it close together, hit save on that, and it's going to have a nice immersive experience. There you go. So yeah, that's what I want. Really impactful. And obviously keeping in mind, you know, the longer the animation is, sort of start and end position on bigger screens and stuff, is it better to have a shorter animation so it's more immersive for those people who are on smaller devices? Just a thought. Okay, so we'll go back to Google Web Designer. I'm going to just save that. And of course, in the traditions of making stuff, here's one I made earlier. So I've taken the 3D Swirl stuff component and I've combined it with the parallax stuff I did yesterday, and I've gone a bit mental. But anyway, I'll show you what I've done. So in the middle there, we can see the object again. Actually, I'll see if I can get into it. No, I'm opening up the parallax variation. So I actually added in the parallax component as well. Let me just cancel that, and I'll just hide that one for a moment. There it is, so I double tap. So I've kept it at the 300 by 250. I'll just change maybe the range of animation again. Just quick refresh. No. Hit that, save, turn the animation back on. Hit save again, and then I'll run that. Now, obviously noting that I've actually done a 300 by 600. So again, yesterday when I was talking about parallax, I said, it's only available as a 300 by 250 MPU. However, that's not the case. You can do a 300 by 600. Obviously, I think the idea is not to do that because it's a longer scroll, it's a longer animation, it's an ad that's going to take up more of the space. And stats tend to show that MPUs have a better return rate. Anyway, we'll just scroll down now, and there we go. So a bit more interesting. I had a lot of fun doing this animation, I have to be honest. After doing the parallax stuff yesterday, really got me excited about just doing parallax ads and swirl ads now. Now, because I've obviously got my parallax over the swirl, I can't actually interact with it. So that's very important. If you want to make it important as a gesture, like to interact with the object, make sure basically that your 3D object is the higher element, so people can touch it when they're on their phones. If you don't, they won't be able to do that. Right, let's just quickly go back. So the next part, I'll just quickly go over to Poly. And this is one thing I found. So when I was looking at Poly, I uploaded my object and I've had it in there for a number of months. And so what I did is I instantly went, great, right, I'll just go and have another go with this, have a bit of fun. So I took the URL, put it into Google Web Designer, and just hit refresh and nothing happened. I wasn't entirely sure why. Now, this may not necessarily be the case, but I went into the editor and I had a little bit of a look into it. So, great thing about Poly is you can come here and actually use Poly to make edits to your 3D objects in its environment and in its space. So I've been playing around with it a bit. Some of these elements don't pass through. However, the color, so that will come through, so you can make those sort of changes. So you're kind of having two worlds when doing stuff with 3D Swirl. You're going to be working in Poly, where you've deployed your 3D object or your animation. However, you won't be able to make all the modifications inside Google Web Designer. You're going to have to come back to Poly to finish the job, as it were. So any of those additional changes. So just moving through it, you can obviously change the background colors, but also you can set some animations, which is great. So that's something that's then applied within the swirl. So what I hadn't done was actually apply any of these things. So I hadn't applied any animations. So when I came in here and then did that, it was then instantly recognized within Google Web Designer and the 3D Swirl. So I suggest whenever you upload anything into Swirl, make sure you, when you've uploaded or you're applying your image from Poly, sorry, not applying an image, applying your object from Poly, you have finished the sort of the editing and publishing process. Because if you don't, you may not get the experience you're after. One final thing, let's just obviously see that the color changes. So I'll set it to, I think that's a pink. Yeah, pinky purple. We'll go with pinky purple. I'll let that start to update, and I'll go back into Google Web Designer. I'll switch off the other layers again. I've got that. Set my 3D object, and then in theory, hit refresh. I've done a quick preview. Oh, it hasn't updated yet. I have noticed that this sometimes does take a little bit longer. Let's try again. Typical. All right, well, it's ridiculous actually, because I've been playing around with it all day and I haven't found this as an issue, and I've been changing color without an issue. So yeah, you can change the color of it and it will update. What I might try and do is just quickly make a fresh. Let's go back into the other version. I'll just drop a 3D model in instead. Properties. Let's change it in here, paste. Hit save. Oh, it might have done it. Save. No, I am destined not to be able to show the changes I've made. I can promise you though it does work. You can change the background colors, you can change the colors applied. Obviously, with more complicated objects, Poly will allow you to change textures and so forth. So you'll be able to go back and make those sort of changes. So I hope you've enjoyed this. I've really enjoyed making this animation and learning a bit more about the benefits of using parallax, and obviously using the new tool, Swirl. For me, I think Swirl has great potential. What I'd love to see, obviously, is getting that augmented reality element in, allowing users to look at the 3D objects, be it a chair from a well-known furniture brand, or looking at the latest phones. You know, that capability within an ad, someone can then go, right, great, I can put that you know, on my table, on my wrist, in my home. I mean, that's a capability. So you could look at Swirl or 3D Swirl as a way of joining augmented reality together. Obviously, how that's going to work with web AR is another question, whether or not that's going to work as well. But anyway, I'll let you guys have that time to think about that. So I'd like to say thanks for watching. And if you would like to like, share and subscribe, that'd be very much appreciated. Also, if you'd like to follow my trials and tribulations with learning Spark AR, please click that link as well. And there's some other 5-minute guides there if you're interested. All right, guys, thanks very much for your time, and I'll catch you later.